Welcome back, Be Fabbo listeners. I'm so excited to again be having a conversation with you. And today, for episode 123, I want to talk a little bit, building on a little bit of what we talked about in the last episode, where we talked about that quiet shift. The moment you stop asking how to do things better and start asking yourself, why are you doing them at all? So let's take it one step further. Because once we have that quiet shift, and once that quiet shift happens, you're faced with some questions that many of us avoid, especially entrepreneurs. We want to always be people pleasers, and we want to keep doing more and more and more. And we forget to ask, what is enough for me? We avoid that question because the word me is in there. We forget that we need to be a priority, that we need to be our own VIP, that we need to be our most important client. So what is enough for me? With what I'm building right now, what is enough? What is enough income? What is enough impact? What is enough time I want to devote into my business that allows me to have the life that I want, where I can do my purpose in both my business and my life? So what is enough for me? Because for most of us, we've never actually defined that because, again, we're often scared to even put the word me. We don't want to say, what's in it for me? How will I benefit? How is this going to make me better? How is this going to improve my life? But we need to ask ourselves, what is enough for me? We've been chasing more income, more clients, more visibility, more growth. And we seldom stop to ask, how much is enough for the life that I actually want? How much is enough to build the business that supports the life that I want? And how much is enough to build the life that I want around the business that I also want, right? We want to find that harmony. So we keep building and we're building and we're building. We add and we add. Same thing we talked about in the last episode. We just keep trying to do more things, and it's always not the most productive way. So as we're building and building, we stop realizing that we might be building something that we don't even want to maintain, have the capacity to maintain, or that we don't even need to maintain. And again, this is where sometimes we battle in that harmony of business and life, right? We battle because we know we want more time with our family and our friends, but we also know that we want to give all that we can to our clients because we love our clients, because we love our passion in our work. And so for me, it was always, people might have thought I was a workaholic, but I wasn't, because I love what I do. And I talk business all the time. And even Tina and I, we would talk business and just different things because we love the wedding and the sports industry. And if I wasn't photographing sports, I was watching sports. And I haven't been a guest at a wedding like forever. I can't even remember because I was always part of the wedding day team or the events. And so when I go speaking and I'm on stage and all I have to do is deliver one presentation, I get to fully, engulf myself into what's happening. And when I'm the MC, I get to hear more people's stories so I can share more. And I get to watch the day unfold. And that's enough for me, right? That was it. That was enough because it's still aligned with what I'm doing. So when I started making that shift about, you know what, this is really what I want to do. And it's okay if I do this. I'm still able to support myself. And these are conversations I obviously had before my Parkinson's really took full force and in effect. But when you start getting that gut, or you lose that spark, or you start getting that anxiousness, I want you to really ask yourself, am I chasing a version of success that was never designed for the life that I want to live now or in the future? And what I've been chasing and what I've been trying to reach for, am I going to get the results of where I am right now? Maybe right now in your life, you're in a new relationship. And when you started your business 1 month, 1 year, 10 years ago, you didn't have a relationship. Maybe you have just started a new family. Heck, maybe you bought a new puppy. Maybe you realize solo or with a spouse or with a partner, you want to travel and you want to take 2 weeks off. So the life now that you're trying to design is that. So Is the version of success you're chasing going to fit around that? Are you going to try to make your life fit around your business? Because, as I mentioned in many episodes, more, doing bigger, being bigger isn't a strategy. More is just a motion. And if you don't define enough, will you ever feel like it's enough? Will you always feel that you're behind? And who are you behind? Are you behind a competitor? Or are you behind what somebody's showing you on 9 Squares on Instagram or what somebody's leaking LinkedIn profile says? When you start defining what's enough for you, then you won't feel that way because you just set the boundaries for yourself. So let's talk about this shift. Instead of asking how I get more, how I grow faster, how and when do I scale what I'm working on, let's shift that to what actually feels enough for me. What do I need to build that fulfills the life that I want right now and my future life? Because you're going to have some changes again as you grow. Because, friends, I can tell you, as you get into your 60s, life does look different. I will agree that, I don't really care too much what people say anymore, but I never really did. Being, the out lesbian in the wedding industry, I kind of had to get over that real fast, that I was going to show up authentic to myself and not be anything but me, knowing I stuttered and that I wasn't always the most polished professional if I started talking or something. So I knew I was going to show up and be authentically myself. So I didn't really care about that. But I can tell you, as you get older, you care less and less about that because you realize you have less in front of you than you have behind you. Your days and your priorities change. I think especially if you're hit with any type of trauma, life-changing health or life-changing event, you realize that, right? So what actually feels like enough for you in this moment and maybe for the next couple years? Because again, life's going to happen. Your purpose is going to be redefined and you have to find a new way to express it. And your goals are going to change because as you get older and if you have grandkids or grandpuppies, you're going to spend time with them. Maybe I have several coaching clients that have spent really hard years building their business and missing a lot of their kids' events. Because when they're at an event on Saturday, they're probably not watching their kid at gymnastics or soccer. So they miss those years. So they don't want to miss those years when the grandkids come around. They've come to terms with, I built a business to support my family so my family could have the things that they have now to do the things they want to do, but now they have kids of their own, and I want to be part of that. So it actually feels like enough for you right now in this moment and the life that you're living and rebuilding that'll carry you over for a couple of years and then be prepared to change again or to just reevaluate. Enough income to support your life right now so that you can make an impact so that, because you always hear me say, if we do well, we can do good. So enough imports to support your life, enough clients to do meaningful work, to build that legacy, continue building that legacy that you've worked on, and enough time to actually live your life, however you want to live it, with others, solo, whatever it is you define. But define that. What is it you want right now from your life? And then build your business around that. Give yourself enough space to breathe, to enjoy, to reap the rewards of everything that you built in the past, to be here in this moment. Because when you define enough for you, by your terms, by your definition, you stop chasing. You stop chasing some of those goals because now you're ready for results. You stop chasing that next big client because the clients you have right now are fulfilling you. That'll be a bonus. But you stop chasing it. You stop looking for that one perfect client to define you. Every one of your clients define you, my friends, because of the work of showing up for them. You have done the best and given the best that you have to each and every client that you have. That work defines itself because you're still doing it. and it's still meaningful to you and people still want to hire you. So what you're doing is making an impact and making a change. And people see that. They want you to be part of whatever they're doing. They want to hire you, your services, and your talents. So you don't need to keep chasing that one big. If it comes, my friends. But the result is what you're building now to give you the life that you want. And you'll start choosing more things intentionally. Before I forget, I'm going to drop in here and remind you about Substack. I really get honest with what it looks like to build a business that supports your life, not the one that quietly takes it over. So if you're working on that, if that's the season or the era that you're in, and it's something that you've been thinking about, I'm going to put a link in the show notes so you can come join me over there. I'd love to continue these conversations with you over on Substack. Slowly moving away from other types of social media. I will always have this free public podcast because I love and adore it. But I'm doing a lot more things over on Substack that fit my life. See, I'm practicing what I preach. I'm letting things go that don't serve me any longer or that never really served me. They were always a task and now they're harder. And now I'm at that moment in my life where I don't want to do those harder things that frustrate me. I'm not about trying to grow to millions. So join me over on Substack and build along with me. Okay? So here's what happens when you define enough. Like I defined, I need to make a change, and Substacks was easiest and had more things I could use easier for me at this moment in my life. So what happens when you define enough? You make better decisions that will benefit you with where you are now. And I'm doing that. I'm doing it right along with you. You stop saying yes to things that just don't fit. The O in Fabbo pillars, O is open. That doesn't always mean open opportunities, but it means change. Learning to say no when it just isn't going to benefit you. And yes, I know if you don't show up at an event or you don't show up at a networking thing, you might meet that next best client. But also not going, spending time with your family, spending time with your puppy, just taking a walk or a bike ride or a drive or catching a sunset might also benefit you so much deeper. And you may not know it now, but when time comes, you'll know why saying no to things that do not fit, that lesson will be learned and you'll see it and the impact will be there. You stop overfilling your calendar just so you feel productive and so that others see how busy you are. You stop measuring yourself against people who are building something completely different. Remember, their path is their path. Their story is their story. This is you. Build the life that you want and deserve. Build a business that brings the impact that you want to make so you can have a purposeful life. And you can do good professionally and personally. That's all part of your legacy work. And maybe most importantly, you stop moving that finish line because just get rid of it. Here's the milestone you crossed today. Yay, mark that off. This is great. Tomorrow, you might get another task done. If you're passionate about what you're doing, you never really want to be done. We talked about that in a previous episode when you have to let go, when you're forced to let go of what you built. You're in charge of the finish line. So if you want to move it, but just why have it? If that's how you need to give yourself a goal or how you need to give yourself productivity, then make a boundary. But I don't know if I would call it the finish line. You reframe it to, at the end of the month, I would like to have one more client. At the end of the month, I'm going to remove 2 services that no longer serve me. In 2 weeks, I want this. And in 6 months, here's the profit factor I want to see. Here is the new direction I want to go. But I'm going to challenge you to also write, in the next 30 days, I'm going to go to the movie on Wednesdays by myself or with somebody. I'm going to call up somebody I haven't talked to for a while just to have a conversation that's not in the industry. And you're going to put on there, in the next 6 months, I'm going to go for a weekend away. Big, international, right down the road, staycation, but where you invest and recharge with yourself, your family, or your friends. But stop moving the finish line. Just work on what you're building now around the life in this moment. Because if we're being honest, a lot of people hit the goals they say they wanted, and immediately they raise the bar. That's the entrepreneurial spirit, my friends. That's why we're entrepreneurs. Here's a problem I know I can solve. Here's a product I can create or an offer I can create to help others solve it. That gets solved. Oh, now I can do this. You're always going to have a different rung of the ladder. You're always going to have another step to climb because that's what we want to do. Not always for the glory, but because that's just who we are. We're people pleasers. We have something we know we can do. We want to offer it. And I think we love that challenge of being able to figure something out. So when we reach a certain goal, you know for a fact you won't just settle there. There's going to be something else that you want. I want you to build a life and a business that matters. And that is when you get to that goal you succeeded, that you checked off the list and accomplished, that you're actually happy that you did it. Not, oh my gosh, I'm here, and this is no longer something that I wanted. So when you hit those goals and you get those results, you raise the bar, not because you need more, because you have not defined what's enough for me. And it's okay. It is okay to go, this is what I want. This is enough for me now. After I do this, I would like to do this. That's enough for this moment. Then this is enough for this moment. That's what I want you to reframe. You can keep raising the bar and doing the next level. But every time you do it, do you think you can do it with less of you in it? So you have more of you in your life? I don't think we think about those things in our 20s and our 30s unless something drastically happens. We lose somebody or something alters. But I think we should. And I don't think we preach that enough to entrepreneurs. Heck, now all these young kids these days will sell one app for billions of dollars, work maybe 12 or 15 hours, maybe work a couple years, and then they're billionaires. But they won't sit on that. They'll do something else. My hope is that at least with the money that they make, they'll turn around and do something good with that. And that they will have an impact other than just making all our lives simpler. Think about the person that invented the shoelaces or the eyelets, all the things that we use now. We're grateful for those people. But did they have an impact in another way? So sit in what is enough for right now for you. And if you have to keep changing that, change it. But I think you can do that without changing and moving the finish line. That's just my thoughts. And that's where burnout lives, not in the work, but in the constant need for you to build bigger and better. Sit with this, my friends. What would it actually look like in your life right now if you knew what enough was? Would your life look like right now if you could define this is enough for me in this moment? What are you chasing that might not even be something you want, belong to you, will help you make an impact? Think about that. What and why are you chasing? And what is it and why? And what would change if you gave yourself permission to define enough in this moment? You're definitely allowed to want more, to need more, to do more. There's nothing wrong with growth, personally and professionally. But growth without intention, I feel that just turns into pressure. Pressure for you, pressure for your clients, pressure for your family. I don't think that's why we want to become entrepreneurs. We wanted to solve somebody's problem and be able to profit from it. Because when we stop chasing, I promise you, profit, purpose, and joy will follow. And I bet that's a book coming up real soon. So stay tuned for that a little bit. Define enough. Are you defining enough for this moment? Just this moment. Because that's when growth becomes alignment and helps set you up for the next milestone, not moving the finish line, but just the next milestone or the next thing that you want to do, the next way you want to be impactful, the next part of your legacy. All right, friends, a little bit longer today. Hope it sits with you. Always remember that you're Fabbo, exactly where you are right now, doing exactly what you do, being who you are. Till next time, my friends.